Wake 'em up! Hi, how's it going, folks? It's me, Julio, and today I want to share with you my testimony, what God has personally done in my life, the work of Jesus Christ that's been happening from the beginning till now. So I want to share that with you guys. Stay tuned. So 11 years ago, I was 24 years old and was working doing security at Clinton Avenue on this high rise. And basically, I was responsible there and making sure that people would sign in and that everything was peaceful. If anything happened, I would have to call the cops or look up, investigate certain things if anything was getting out of hand. Doing security over there. Writing reports, if there was a fire, pull the alarm, call, all those kind of things. But one particular night was, I knew God was calling me for many years. He would use people with tracts. People would talk to me about God sometimes here and there. It wasn't a consistent thing, but on and off that would happen. And I used to go to church. I used to go to a Spanish legalistic church. We could talk about more of that on another time. But as I was there doing security on Clinton Avenue in this high-rise flamboyantes, I was examining my life. I started to think about me and me not serving God, and also too, I started thinking about my sin. And so I started going over all these sins and all these decisions I was making and how it didn't honor God. And I was getting to a place where I felt my sin was very heavy on me. It was like really, really heavy. And so I was getting to the point where I'm like, man, God, I need you. I need forgiveness of this sin. And basically I sat down and I'm looking at these monitors. It was about 10:30 at night. I think Friday night, and nobody was around. And I started praying just like I'm talking right now. And I was sitting and looking at these monitors. Inside too, I felt the heaviness of sin, of the weight of sin. Also too, I felt like I wasn't right with God. I just wasn't at peace because of a lot of the decisions I made. And so what ended up happening was I started talking to God. And I started saying, God, forgive me because I know you've been calling me for years. I know that you have sent people to talk to me about you, and I've just disregarded it. And I started saying, also I was thinking about, man, when does a man become a man? And I really felt God was speaking to me saying, when you serve me is when a man becomes a man. Because I was thinking about other guys that I was hanging around or guys that I seen that were older than me. They had children, and yet they're cheating on, their wives or their spouses or their partner, if you will. And also some of them weren't doing a good job raising their children. And so for me, that was really hitting me. It's like, man, when does a man raise his kids, and so I felt God saying, when you serve me. When I started just thinking about all the sin that I was doing, man, from the lying, fornicating, stealing, and other things. Wow, it just really blew me away, And so for me, I prayed, and as I prayed, I ended up feeling like talking to my ex. So what I ended up doing was I ended up calling her, and when I called my ex, I'm like, look, these are all the things going on in my life, and right now I need God's help. I need God's forgiveness of what I've done. And I prayed for that. And ironically, she ended up, she was listening to me. And ironically, though, I kept getting this thought of Isaac and Abraham from the Bible, the story. And it just kept on and it just kept on as I'm talking. And all of a sudden I told her, and she ends up picking up the Bible as we're talking on the phone. And she ends up reading it to herself, and then what she does is she paraphrased the story of Isaac and Abraham. The part she paraphrased, and keep in mind too, I really want to keep in mind that she was in the same state I was, in need of forgiveness of God through Jesus Christ. And so as she paraphrased it, she said that when God seen that Abraham was obedient, he blessed him and his family. Boom. I just felt this power. I've never felt this again. It was literally all the way down to my bones. I remember standing up. I remember stretching. And I was like, wow, I feel God. Even the tone of my voice, I started getting hyped up. I was like excited for what happened. That the weight of sin, the way I felt completely changed. I mean, boom, just drastic. Also, too, I seen like a vision of myself wrapped up in chains. And when I felt that power, it just went away. Okay. I felt, again, I felt God's peace. I just felt God's presence. I felt the power of the Holy Spirit, and things like that. So that's what happened there. And I was on the phone. I'm like, look, I don't know about you, but from now on, I'm looking for God. This is for real for me. And that was the beginning of my journey.